I got rich when I understood this. This is a video put together by Jeff Bezos of Amazon that my team sent me to react to. And I realized I don't think I've ever seen Jeff Bezos speak. So I'm curious to see what he has to say. And I will share my honest opinion based on mentoring entrepreneurs with their finances for about 20 years now. So tap the like button and let's dive in.
I was working at a financial firm in New York City with a bunch of very smart people, and I had a brilliant boss I much admired. I went to my boss.
Okay, what's in this background? It sounds like do 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 do, like it's gonna be like Twilight Zone. So I don't know where we're going with this, but I just had to say something.
I went to my boss and told him I was going to start a company selling books on the internet. He took me on a long walk in Central Park, listened carefully to me, and finally said, "That sounds like a really good idea, but it would be an even better idea for someone who didn't already have a good job. You can have a job, or you can have a career, or you can have a calling. And if you can somehow figure out how to have a calling, you have hit the jackpot, because that's the big deal."
So let's just take a look at this. So that sounds like a really good idea for somebody who doesn't already have a good job. There's something about, I don't know if it's just humans being part of the universe. Like the universe is always expanding, and spirit always wants to go for more expansion, bringing more of yourself to the party. And so I know a lot of people who have had a great job or a great business and just felt that inner calling that it's time to move on to the next thing. I mean, even myself, when I got pregnant with my first kid, I shut down all my programs that had been very successful and made me lots of money for over a decade because I didn't know what motherhood was going to be like, and I wanted to be fully available for that. So even though I had all these clients and all this money coming in, I was like, burn it all. And I didn't close the entire business. I still sent my email newsletter, but that was it, because I was just like, there's this new phase in my life. And so I like that he's talking about the calling. That's something that comes from within. And at the end of the day, yeah, you want to have enough money coming in to pay your bills and all that good stuff. And at the end of the day, it's not even about how much you make, it's what you do with it in terms of investing and getting your money working for you, right? But I'm a big fan of choosing life. You know, do we get more than one life? I don't know. But what you do have is this moment today, and we don't know if tomorrow is going to come. And so I think that life is too short to stay doing something that you hate or stay doing something that's no longer in alignment with your heart and soul. And so I think if he has this calling, then that's great that he went for it. And I'm not going to say that every time you go for your calling, you're going to make money. But I do think that there's something very powerful about living in alignment with your truth, right? And what your spirit is calling for you in that next level of growth and expansion. And I also do believe that if you feel called to do something, like he felt called to sell books on the internet, if you feel called to do something, I think that that is evidence that there's a demand for it, that somebody's on the other end placing that call, because if you think about a phone, my phone's not going to ring unless there's somebody on the other phone, on the other line, dialing my number, right? So if my number is ringing saying I want this, somebody wants that, right? So anyway, not where I expected to go with this at all, but I do think it's very powerful to answer that call.
I met Jeff Bezos 25 years ago, and he told me, "Dave, I want you to invest in my company." "What are you doing?" "I'm gonna start a bookstore in my garage." "Okay, and I'm gonna put it online. People buy online, and I'm gonna ship out of my garage. But if you invest in me, Dave, someday I'm gonna be the richest man in the world. I'll do over $100 billion. First of all, there is no such thing as $100 billion 25 years ago. Statistically, there's no such thing. Countries didn't have 100. Our national debt wasn't $100 billion. And this dude's telling me at 26 years old That he's going to be the richest man in the world because he has a garage and the internet?
You know, you can do a lot with a garage and the internet, I gotta say. But that is interesting. He had the vision, right, of what was possible. This makes me think of Muhammad Ali. You know, he was the one who was like, I'm the world's greatest, I'm the world's greatest, I'm the world's greatest. He was the first one to say that and claim that and tell other people, like, yeah, he's the world's greatest, right? I even love that song, you know, I'm the world's greatest. So I think there's something there. One thing we don't talk about is the people that have the big visions and it doesn't work out. So I don't know that just because you have this big vision, it means that you're going to be successful. However, I do think that it is hard to get there if you don't have the vision, right? If you don't have some vision for what you want to create, some calling, some inclination. So I think that people who are good at raising money for their ventures, you know, having people join their team, basically rallying people around their idea, they are good at communicating this vision that inspires people. So it sounds like that's something that he did well. He had a vision and he was convicted and sharing it with confidence and inspiring people to invest in his vision. And that's a great skill to have.
That was his truth. No, but he did not know it, and neither did I. But the difference between him and I is I was laughing, scoffing, and jesting at him, and he was already applauding himself, going, at the right way, at the perfect time, I'm gonna make as much as I can as quickly. And I'm sitting there going, there's no way this is gonna be a big business.
Do something you're very passionate about, and don't try to chase what is kind of the hot passion of the day. Seen in that light, it really was a difficult choice, but ultimately, I decided I had to give it a shot.
There's something there. You know, when you feel that spark that ignites in your soul, it's like sometimes you just have to say yes, even if it doesn't work out. Like I remembered when I launched one of my online programs, I was like, I have to launch this thing or I'm going to explode. Like, I don't even care if anyone else buys it, but I need to birth this into the world, right? So, do I think you always need to do something that you're passionate about? I don't. I don't believe that. I think that, some people, they very much work to live, not live to work. And their job or their business is a means to the end. It's like what's going to fund their other passions, like I don't think my husband like loves what he does at his job. Like if they didn't pay him, he would not show up, right? But then it goes and funds his racing and his art and his music. And I don't think that's wrong. On the other hand, I love what I do. I would totally do this if I didn't get paid. Like I started this entire company as a passion business, and I am more passionate about it today than I was even back then, because the more I learn about finances and people's situations in the financial planning industry, and the more impact I see in people's lives, the more I'm like, oh my God, people need this. And I am excited to get out there and do this. I don't have to make this YouTube video, right? I don't have to make any YouTube videos, but I love it, and I don't think that either way is necessarily right or wrong. Bob Proctor says that you create value for money and you do a job for satisfaction. And I think at the end of the day, you want to do something for satisfaction and you want to do something for money. And if they can be the same thing, that's awesome. But they don't necessarily have to be. So let's see where we go with this.
I didn't think I'd regret trying and failing. And I suspected I would always be haunted by a decision to not try at all.
Ooh, that is powerful. It's so true. And I think that this is a good question to ask yourself when you're considering any move that has some risk to it, is like, how will I feel if I go for it and it doesn't work out? How will I feel if I don't go for it and I never know? And I remember the first time I went to Europe, this was back in 1997, I had a vision of going and traveling in Europe, but it seemed so impossible, and I was going to spend my junior year of college in Spain. And for some reason, like I had, okay, I don't think I've ever shared this before, But I had this idea that if I could imagine myself the next day, that I wasn't going to die that day. I don't know where that come from or why I was thinking that, but I could not imagine myself being in Europe. I could not imagine myself being in Spain. And I was like, I'm going to die on the plane. I was 98% sure that I was going to die in a plane over the Atlantic. I was like as positive as this guy was, and he was going to make $100 million. I was like, I am dying on this plane. I knew it. But I was like, I would rather die going for it than live my whole life not having tried. And so I hugged my family goodbye thinking that was it. And when I came up from the metro into the Plaza de Sol, in the middle of Madrid, and there was like the sunlight and the like Tio Pepe sign across from the metro stairs, and I was like, oh my God, I'm alive and I'm in Madrid. Like I almost want to just cry right now. But like this is what I'm talking about with like choosing life, right? Choosing the things that are gonna give your life heart and meaning, choosing the things that are gonna um, be in alignment with your soul and your deepest truth. And so like I chose life. There was another time where my cat, oh, love this cat so much. Her name was Nola, and I just felt like somebody took a little piece of my spirit and like put it in this cat. I felt like she was part of me. She was just like so, so, so precious to me. I loved her so much. And she was only about a year old where she got out of the house and she got in some terrible accident. And I still don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a car, a dog, I don't know, but she got injured and she needed surgery to have a chance at living. And there was no guarantee that she was going to survive the surgery. The only guarantee was that I was going to have to pay for it. And if she didn't get the surgery, she was definitely going to die. And so I had to ask myself, how will I feel about myself if I let my cat die right now? And how will I feel about myself if I invest? I think it was like $4,000 at the time. How will I feel if I put $4,000 into a surgery for this cat and she dies? You know, and at the time, this was earlier in life, so $4,000 at the time was like, I mean, it may as it could have felt like $100,000. Like it was so big. I didn't have the money. I think I ended up getting like a care credit or something, but I was like, I would rather go for it and know that, oh my God, that I did everything I could, right? So I think that that's when you're looking at taking a financial risk, a business risk, a personal risk, I think that those are useful questions to ask yourself. And at the end of the day, you're like, I made the best decision I could that was in alignment with my truth. And maybe it worked out and maybe it didn't. And in this case, clearly it worked out for him. But even if it hadn't, he could say, I chose life. I chose my truth. And I think there's a lot of power in that.
After much consideration, I took the less safe path to follow my passion, and I'm proud of that choice. As a young boy, I had been a garage inventor. I'd invented an automatic gate closer out of cement-filled tires, a solar cooker that didn't work very well out of an umbrella and aluminum foil, baking pan alarms to entrap my siblings. I'd always wanted to be an inventor, and she wanted me to follow my passion. There's a military phrase that I especially love, and it says, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I have seen that in every endeavor I've ever been in. That's the kind of thing that really allows you to make progress. You get certain gifts.
What that makes me think of is, I've never heard it like that, but it does make me think of like slow down to speed up. And this is definitely something that I've seen in my own business, that if I can like slow down and take the time to create a system, it allows me to go much faster later because I can hand that system off to other people. I can take less time to do it myself. Maybe I can automate parts of it, eliminate parts of it. Like taking the time to do that, even though it does feel excruciatingly slow, sometimes can actually be able to make you get results a lot faster. So I would agree with that concept. And actually, like, I haven't thought about that lately, but I like it a lot, and I think it's totally true.
Gifts in life and you want to take advantage of those, but I guess my advice on adversity and success would be to be proud not of your gifts, but of your hard work and your choices. So
I just want to say something there. Choices. Yes, that's what I'm talking about in terms of choosing life. Like, be proud of your choices. Like, I chose to show up for my kids, show up for myself, live my truth. Yes. Be proud of your hard work. This is something that I feel like we have to unpack from the whole like Puritan work ethic thing, because there's a lot of like collapsing monetary success with hard work. And I think that they're totally separate things. I've heard the phrase like hard work always pays off. Based on your life and your experience, does hard work always pay off? No. And yet we still have these ideas, right? And so I think that like, I'm totally willing to work hard for what I believe. So I'm not saying like hard work is bad, but I don't think that hard work is necessarily like how you have success. I think I think it's a myth. I think that there can be some truth to it, but not necessarily. So let's keep going.
So, you may be, the kinds of gifts you get, like, you might be really good at math. It might be really easy for you. That's a kind of gift. But practicing that math and taking it to the next step, that could be very challenging and hard, and take a lot of sweat. That's a choice. You can't really be proud of your gifts because they were given to you. You can be grateful for them and thankful for them. But your choices, you choose to work hard. You choose to do hard things. Those are choices that you can be proud of. You can choose. We all get to choose our life stories, and it's the choices that define us, not our gifts. Everybody in this room has many gifts. I have many gifts. You can never be proud of your gifts because they're gifts. They were given to you. You might be, tall, or you might be really good at math, or
I don't know. Why not be proud of your gifts? Doesn't hurt. It's like, why are people proud of their local sports team? Just because they happen to live in this area and the team that's in that area, seems to be doing well, but people like freak out about it and are like super invested in their local sports team, even though to me it seems kind of random. And it's like, yay, the whatever won. And it's like people take personal pride in that. And I'm like, okay. But like, why not? Like, there's no harm in saying like, I'm proud of my skin or my height or my gifts or my speaking ability, as well as the things that I worked on. So I don't know, like, be proud. Why not?
math, or you might be extremely beautiful or handsome, or there are many gifts, and you can only be proud really of your choices, because those are the things that you are acting on. And one of the most important choices that each of us has, and you know this just as well as I do, is you can choose a life of ease and comfort, or you can choose a life of service and adventure. And when you're 80, which one of those things do you think you're going to be more proud of? You're going to be more proud of having chosen a life of service and adventure. There's never been a better time to be alive. I mean, it's just incredible, the amount of inspiration that the world generates for me, and I think for a lot of people. It's insane, the amount of change and invention and opportunity. Your life, the life you author from scratch on your own, begins. How will you use your gifts? What choices will you make? Will inertia be your guide, or will you follow your passions? Will you follow dogma, or will you be original? Will you choose a life of ease or a life of service and adventure? Will you wilt under criticism or will you follow your convictions? Will you bluff it out when you're wrong or will you apologize? Will you guard your heart against rejection or will you act when you fall in love? Will you play it safe or will you be a little bit swashbuckling? When it's tough, will you give up or will you be relentless? Will you be a cynic or will you be a builder? Will you be clever at the expense of others or will you be kind? Every time you figure out some way of providing tools and services that empower other people to deploy their creativity, you're really onto something. You know, you're very lucky if you have a career. A lot of people end up with a job. If you don't love your work, you're never going to be great at it. Jules Verne, Mark Twain, Galileo, Newton, all the curious from the ages would have wanted to be alive, most of all, right now. As a civilization, we will have so many gifts, just as you as individuals have so many individual gifts as you sit before me. How will you use these gifts? And will you take pride in your gifts or pride in your choices?
Okay, did he ever say like I got rich when I understood this? So this was very like, you know, generically motivational with lots of interesting B-roll and very dramatic music and all of that. So I think that the takeaway here is choices, I guess. I don't know. I wish this had been more like insightful or helpful. It sounded kind of like, you know, be mindful of the choices you make in your life. And some of the right choices aren't always going to be the easy or comfortable ones. Okay. Okay. I can understand that. Overall, I did not find this very helpful, but it did tune me into my emotions, right? And that whole thing of choosing life. So maybe that's ultimately the message is, I mean, I hear him saying, be proud of your choices. And what I'm taking away and how I'm paraphrasing it is choose life. So like when you're making these choices, whether to, you know, go up and talk to that person that you're interested in, or like make that commitment or start that business or take that job or hire whatever choices in life, you want to make the choices that are in alignment with your highest truth. So that's how I'm interpreting this. If you agree with me, tap the like button. Let me know what you think. And if there's any other videos you want me to react to, please let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Have a beautiful day and choose life.